Hey folks, this is Matt Rainwater, and as you can see, I finished that guitar raccoon I was working on. I'm gonna color a different raccoon today. I've so far have put together four. Actually, let me open up. I didn't even give me a moment here, because today we're gonna work on the jug raccoon. I think that's what we're gonna have time for. But I also worked on a scratch board. I don't. That's what I call it. I can't remember what the name of that instrument is. This is predominantly a Zydeco instrument. I call it a scratch board. It's like sort of a percussion instrument where you wrap your fingernails or like some other thing across these ridges and it makes like a scratchy, you can make like a scratchy rhythmic sound with it. Anyway, so that's another one I'm going to have within this illustration that I've been working on. I'm going to close this though for now. And that's the palette that I'm working from for the. I want to keep all the colors of the raccoons uniform. You know what I mean? And so I'm going for a general sort of watercolor aesthetic for this overall illustration. I think I explained this in the last video, but I'll say it again in case it wasn't clear. What I'm doing is I'm working on every figure in the illustration separately, and then I'm going to sort of just put them. I was gonna say cut and paste. Yeah, I guess so. Basically, cut and paste them into the onto the background that I'm going to create eventually. That's going to be the last piece once I decide how many. I think I'm going to go for 5. Like right now I have 4. 4 is probably good, but I don't know. It'd be kind of good to have an accordion raccoon. So I can have a complete Zydeco band. I mean, banjos are not really in Zydeco. I'm kind of. You can do it. You can theoretically do that. It's not really a Zydeco instrument. I'm taking some liberties with the concept here. I bet it sounds good though. So anyway, what I'm gonna do, because like I said, I wanted to create this watercolor type illustration, so I'm just mimicking watercolor right now. I can't really do it, I think, properly in my mind, because digital watercolor is not the same as actual watercolor. And in that, I mean, you're not moving around water. Like, digital watercolor is yet to get sophisticated enough to mimic that process, because it is a very different process when you're doing actual watercolor. You're really just pushing, the ink in the water around, and kind of, in a weird way, you're kind of herding, herding, herding like a sheepdog. You're herding the ink to look as you want it to look. Although also you can just do, basic layering like I'm doing for this. I mean, that usually works. And in order to do that for watercolor, you need to have very absorbent paper. This quote unquote digital paper is infinitely absorbent. So right now I just decided I would start with the darkest color on the old jug raccoon. And it's kind of fun to do this because it does mimic actual coloring to a certain extent. And you also get a mimicry of it in the brush strokes that you create. And I'm just using like This is a really basic brush that's available on Clip Studio. This is just the round watercolor brush. There are, of course, plenty of other brushes available in Clip Studio. And as I've discovered, something that they've added in recent years that I was not aware of previously because I had an older version, or I just wasn't paying attention. You can like download a ton of free brushes, which is kind of blowing my mind. Because when I started out using Clip Studio, I would go buy brushes from sites where, you know, people would design them by, quote unquote, by hand. Don't really know what that means necessarily for Clip Studio. But basically, I mean, they would design these brushes, and you'd have all kinds. You could buy brush packs. I'm sure you can still do that, right? I don't see why you couldn't. But yeah, you could design brush packs, or people would design brush packs. You'd buy them, install them into Clip Studio. Certainly, you can still do that today, but it's hard to compete with free. That was what really shocked me, was how many free brushes are available in Clip Studio. So when I saw that, I'm like, well, geez, like I don't think I need to. I probably don't need to buy any more brushes anymore. I don't have any, and the ones that I did buy, I can just, you know, import. So I kind of have everything I need in terms of brushes. By the way, for this pencil brush, which is, I like it. It's a little funky. It's this one right here. I have no, you know, like, I'm assuming this is either Japanese or Korean, and I'm not sure which it is. I see a little. I'm looking. Well, this one I think has Japanese because this looks like katakana, but I'm not sure as to the origin of this brush. But I like it. It's a very good pencil type brush. You can just, I mean, you can find it pretty quickly in Clip Studio. But it works well for me for what I'm doing for this illustration. I like it. It works. What more do you need? Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, I use that brush to kind of create this pencil effect. And felt like I had more to say in regards to that. I really don't. So anyway, this illustration's coming along a lot faster than I expected. I'm kind of blowing through. Part of it was that I ended up blowing through these characters. They're pretty easy to create. And I think I talked about this last episode, you know, starting from very simple premise and sort of retaining that makes it very quick to make. They're just very easy characters to design, so I don't really have to spend a whole lot of time. This face. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. It's too much stress. Because the problem is, in order to color the whole face, I have to do it as a single, quote unquote, as a single stroke, which is just to say, once I put the stylus down, I can't pick it up, which is annoying. It is very annoying. This, however, does do a pretty good job of mimicking not just watercolor, but also mimicking like Copic markers. Copic markers behave in this way. Other things. All right, this face. I'm trying to figure out if I can. So right now I'm trying to strategize in my mind if I can find a place where it's appropriate for me to pick up my stylus. So I'm going to start right here. I think so. because eventually, I just need to like pick it up just to give my hand a quick break. You know what I mean? It's very challenging to just do it as one complete action where you're got your hand pressed down on the monitor. Maybe that's just me. Alright. Can I... See, I was going to try the ears, but the ears didn't seem like they would work. It didn't seem like it would work. I can try here. Maybe I can... I'm going to start with the first layer, because I have to do 3 layers to get the color that I want, which is also kind of annoying. This is not a hard process at all, by the way. It's just like there are some things in it that are a little bit annoying because I'm so used to the instant gratification of a fill bucket. You get a fill bucket, just a single click, and suddenly you have color on a thing. Isn't that amazing? And this is so totally different from that. And I like it and I don't like it. And the thing, like I said, the thing I don't like is that I really have to mimic natural medium. Alright. That ear is done. Pretty much the side of the raccoon's face is done. I think I'm about to get into ginseng, y'all. I'm reading this book right now called Prometheus Rising, and this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've read this book. It's a really good book. For those of y'all who maybe you're, wanting to make changes in your life and like you're not really sure how to, one of the great places to start, right, is to figure out how to change your brain. And this is why I like this book, Prometheus Rising. I always learn some new stuff about ways in which I can promote, maybe not neurogenesis, but like promote ways of making new neural connections in the mind. And so anyway, I was reading over this passage in which the author, Robert Anton Wilson's talking about, at the end of every chapter, there are these exercises that you do. And in one of the chapters, in regards to the biosurvival circuit, he talks about something that you can do to really connect yourself with, like, trying to figure out how to say it. How to connect yourself to sort of like being within your body in a comfortable and appropriate way. And he recommends either smoking pot and going for a swim, which I live in Louisiana, so I don't really have access to that, or going for a swim but taking ginseng instead. And I'm like, when I read this, I was like, what are you saying, dude? He says get high, quote unquote, on ginseng. And I'm like, okay, so does ginseng have some kind of properties to them that, like, gives you a buzz or whatever? Now, I did some research, and ginseng is an adaptogen. So what that means is that it can, I really don't know what the term adaptogen really means. I mean, I take CBD, so I am getting some cannabis in my diet, as it turns out. CBD, cannabinoids, the kind that don't get you high, they are considered adaptogens, apparently. So adaptogens generally, from what I understand of that word, are chemicals that help your brain de-stress, mitigate stress, stuff like that. Oh, I can use this color. So I'm going to look into it. Ginseng's been one of those things where it always kind of gets thrown under the bus as being like one of those woo-woo, new age sort of remedies that people throw at you when you should maybe be, I don't know, doing something else or whatever. But I'm of the opinion. Look, y'all. I wouldn't say I'm a new agey kind of person, but I will try a lot of stuff out. I'm willing to try stuff out. So, plenty of turmeric in my diet. That's what I'm saying. I always like to look at home remedies, tea tree oil, stuff like that. By the way, this is not a replacement for a doctor's visit at all. It's not a replacement for. It's not necessarily a 100% replacement for traditional medicine, although I don't know if traditional medicine is the right word. Western medicine? I don't even know if that's the right word. I'm trying to figure out corporate medicine. I think that's the word that I want to go with. At which point, I think many people who are listening to this are going, oh boy, here we go. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, corporatized or industrial medicine as we know it. I have complaints. Like I have issues with it. I'm not going to write it all off. That would be silly. It saved millions of people's lives, It's extended life for a lot of people. Extended the life for my grandparents in many ways. And also failed them in many ways, too. I'm not going to say, look, I'm not going to sit here and say, if you take ginseng every day and you eat turmeric and all this other stuff, you're going to live to 104. It's like, no, probably not. But you might have a better quality of life. I don't know. Don't listen to anything I'm saying right now. I'm just going really off the cuff because I'm thinking very heavily about starting a ginseng regimen because I read about it in a book, and I'm a very curious person who wants to try things, and sometimes things work. One of those things for me that I found out recently was garlic has some really amazing stuff about it. Now, I mean, you have to be willing to swallow whole garlic. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. But I'm willing to do it. I'm crazy enough. What layer did... Oh, okay. So, I don't know. I guess maybe this is a warning that in the future I may talk about this more. If any of y'all in the chat are into crap like that, you're into... I call it home remedies. I don't know what you should call it, See, that's what I would call traditional remedies. Traditional, not necessarily medicine, just traditional nourishment or whatever, when people are prescribing, take a spoonful of apple cider vinegar every day, etc., etc. I don't doubt that it helps. I haven't done the apple cider vinegar regimen. At least I don't. No, I mean I do use a lot of apple cider vinegar in cooking, but I don't think I use it so much that I'm on a regiment. You know what I mean? Like a regiment. Like a vitamin regiment? Like I'm on a vitamin regiment. Not like that. I feel like with apple cider vinegar, that's a whole other level of commitment that I don't know if I'm ready for. All right, we're getting near the end here. And probably chewed your ear off a little much, right? But that's all right. Hopefully y'all have learned a new technique if you haven't tried this at home. You can add to your tool belt. And I would like to end this episode by saying, hey, if you enjoy these videos, if you enjoy listening to me jabber on, if you like looking at my work and want to get access to more of my work, you can do so through the Patreon. It's patreon.com/MattJRainwater. Like I said last episode, doing the $1 a month will get you access to when this is done, a high-res wallpaper for this whole illustration. And there are several other things. There are ebooks. There are all kinds of stuff. And of course, the other thing is you get first-hand access to these videos that I'm doing before everybody else. Oftentimes a month out. So, check it out. All right, I think I'm done. And we will talk again soon. I hope y'all have a good day. And we will talk again, all right? Later. Bye.